What's up, guys? Episode 11, the Enlisted Real Estate Podcast. Brian Baker. I am Richie Fortunato.
What's up? What's up?
And we got a guest today, Mr. Nick Preston. He's with Park Square Homes. Nick is a new home counselor, relatively new to the business, been in it less than a year. So we reached out to Nick, we want to get his perspective on what it's like to start new home sales and how that's going for him. Especially coming from Nick, you want to tell us a little about yourself real quick?
Yeah. So again, thanks for having me on. It was an awesome podcast. I've been watching you guys on YouTube.
Don't lie to us. Nobody watches this.
Yeah. So I'm from Orlando originally. Straight out of high school, went to almost a full year of college, realized school was not for me. I wanted to get out and start making some money. Immediately got my real estate license and hopped into timeshare. In Orlando, there's really only 2 or 3 jobs. It's hospitality, it's real estate, or it's timeshare. So timeshare was kind of where I was at. My dad was in timeshare for a long time, since before I was born. So I got a lot of insights into the industry. It sounded like a lot of fun, something I wanted to do. And he was usually home by the time I got home from school. So it was like, hey, man, everybody else's dads are still at work. Yeah, that sounds like fun. So got into timeshare, worked at only a handful of resorts, which is odd for that industry. You guys both being in it, a lot of people hop around.
Yep.
Seasonal. Summer, they whack everybody. Then you come back in the winter and that kind of thing. So my first resort, I was there for almost 10 years. And then went a year at another spot, a year at another spot, and then moved out here to Tampa.
Where'd you start?
I started at a small resort. It was called Vacation Villas at Fantasy World. It was
I know it.
Yeah. It was family owned. They had gotten up to 23 resorts at one time. But yeah, that's where I started.
Nice. So how's that transition going from timeshare sales to new homes? It's very different.
It's very different. Yeah, the hours are a lot different. It's weird not having to be at work till 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Usually when I was going to work, it was still dark. Nobody was on the road. But yeah, it's a completely different sale. It's a completely different process. So being in sales for a long time, that stuff's still pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. But the other 90% is completely foreign.
What made you want to make the change and jumping over to a different industry?
Yeah, it's a great question. So about a year and a half, 2 years ago, my wife and I were talking and decided that we're always at the beach. We love vacation at the beach. Let's move to the beach. The kids are still young enough where we can transition them out there permanently if we decide we really like it. And if not, we can come back and, everybody still has their relationships. So we sold the house, quit our jobs, moved out here and hung out for a couple of months, which was really fun. No work, no nothing over the summer. And then was like, all right, we can't do this forever. We got to get back to work. Started looking around. So out here in Tampa is not timeshare mecca like Orlando. There's 2 resorts out here and they were a long drive. So it was like, okay, I'll get out of timeshare. Let's try general or working for a builder. So went around, talked to a lot of the general offices out here, the big ones, the Keller Williams, the Century 21s, kind of getting a feel for that. Talked to a couple of the home builders, met with the new VP of sales and marketing with Park Square Homes. And at the end of that interview, the end of that conversation, it was probably an hour and a half long. I was sold. I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. So that's why I'm with Park Square.
So they were a good salesperson.
Yeah, she was awesome.
So it was that easy for you to get a job in new home sales?
Yeah.
See, man, you guys that know how to interview, you got it. Because it probably took me like a year and a half to get into this.
Yeah?
Yeah, everybody turned me down. I'm horrible at interviews, first of all.
It's a tight-knit community too. And, half the time they're always looking for somebody with experience, especially new home experience coming, into the industry rather than having to kind of teach everything from the beginning. So
right.
It can be tough getting in. So getting in that quick and easy. Good for you.
Thank you.
How was that then? So coming into it, the training and learning the new industry. What are your thoughts on kind of taking the fire hose of information and kind of relearning everything?
So it's interesting, and that's kind of another huge difference between the timeshare side of things and new home sales. Is and I'm not sure what the other builders are like. Obviously, this is the only one I've worked for. But it doesn't seem like this industry is super huge on training. the way timeshare was, right? So they bring you in, they give you the basics, how the system works, how to type a contract. This is how our computer systems work. Get on out there and sell some homes. So yeah, it was totally different, where in timeshare, it's, you know, if you're not talking to a customer, you're in training. And, you know, every morning you do an hour of training, and it's just training. They pitch, you know, they teach you the pitch, they teach you closes and overcoming objections. And they literally, I mean, timeshare is the best sales training on the planet, I think. So that was one of the biggest differences in transitioning, is a lot of it you're kind of trying to pull from people. So, you know, Richie and some of the other people that I've worked with, trying to shoot emails, hey, how do you guys handle this? And what do you do with this? And how are you getting these tours? And what's your outreach look like to the realtor community? And so it's just kind of taking the bull by the horns and self-teaching a little bit, using some of the resources around at the other communities.
Good for you on that, because I think that's a big part, rather than sit back and just, most people have the thought process, you get in there and you're literally just going to sit there and everything happens for you, right? And it's not at all like that. So good for you reaching out and having people like Richie that you can kind of, somebody to go to and kind of pick their brain and kind of learn that aspect of it. But timeshare is a very different sale than real estate, general real estate, new home construction. I mean, like, so tell me, you know, I agree though, I did timeshare for a little bit. I learned a ton of great techniques and aspects of that. But what's your thought on, you know, transitioning? Because it's a transition, right? So it's a different kind of sale.
Yeah. So they have the thing in common where it's still an emotional sale, but there's a lot more logic in the sale of new home sales, and they have so many options, and so there is a lot of differences. But I think with the type of sale in timeshare, it's, hey, nice to meet you. I need to make a relationship, and we need to become best buddies inside of 10 minutes. And then it's this step, and then it's this step, and then it's this step, and then it's this step. And then we go watch a movie, and then we do a property tour, and then we come back, and then I show you the price sheet, and then I get my manager, and then it's boom, 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 right? Whereas this, it's just kind of more of relationship building. And, you know, you do see them again. It's not, okay, hey, we didn't buy today, and you're never going to see that person again. It's, you do have another shot at them, and you can kind of craft a follow-up process. And just because you weren't able to close them right then and there doesn't mean that they're gone to you forever, which is awesome.
So how is that? So follow-up is a huge thing in new home sales. Most new home counselors don't follow up. It's crazy to me. You didn't have to follow up in timeshare. So how have you trained yourself, or what are you doing for that, for the follow up with people now? That's kind of new for you.
Totally new. Yeah. Timeshare, it's, you know, once you left, I didn't want to talk to you again for, you know, good or bad or for whatever. It was, if they're calling again, it's not a good conversation, especially within that 10-day period. But yeah, it's the follow-up process again was just reaching out and, hey, what does your follow-up process look like? And, you know, what is your follow, and just try to take from, you know, 5, 6, 10 different sources what their follow-up process looks like, and pull the stuff that I think makes sense and kind of craft my own. It took me probably, I don't know, almost 90 days to really get a good follow-up process together between text messages and emails and that kind of stuff, phone calls. And the one thing I didn't realize at first is your customer isn't the person buying the home. Your customer is realtors who then go and get the people who are going to come buy the home. So that was a totally different. I was always, you know, sell to the consumer, the guy in front of me, not, okay, you need to go make friends with realtors and you need to market realtors because they're going to go get the people for you. So that was, I think, one of the biggest transitions as well.
Yeah, realtor, I think in Orlando is about 70 to 80% of all of our business. So it's good you reach out to realtors. You got to keep them. Or what are some things you're doing?
We try to do the realtor events at the models. We try to go out and hit the realtor offices. We go see them probably twice a month. We try to make sure that we're hitting all the realtor offices each quarter in our area. So we stay top of mind. So it's not like, hey, we talked to this one realtor office one time and then we don't see them again for 6 months. We try to see all the realtor offices in our area every quarter. So, you know, different stuff.
Do you have offices close to you?
We have a couple close. Our farthest ones out are about half an hour. So we have probably, it's pretty far.
No, you got to keep it. Like, I mean, anything like 5 minutes away.
Yeah, we have 3 or 4 within 5 minutes.
So I'll give you a little tip. One thing I tried to do, I couldn't keep up with it. I was trying to do mine were 2 spread out here in Orlando. But I used to take a mason jar and I had a sticker. I put my face on a sticker. And then so one side of the mason jar was my face. The other side was all my info. And I put it in the office and I go and fill it up with candy every week.
Really? So you just, the same jar, you just keep going and filling it up?
Yeah, I tried it for, it didn't last very long.
Yeah.
I tried too many offices and they're too far, but they're close to you.
That's hard, man. They get spread out, trying to hit them consistently. And yeah, and that's like the difficult part, trying to figure out how to get around finding the consistency and hitting, 10 offices on a regular basis and staying forefront of mind, and with them being so far spread out, you could be going 30 minutes in the opposite direction of the model, that gets easy.
So one thing I found interesting, because you're new, so you and your partner, you guys do a shared floor.
Yeah. And I'm surprised that nobody does that. I mean, apparently that's like super strange.
So just for the listeners who don't know what a shared floor is, you've got 2 types of commission structure payouts, right? So you've got competitive, which your sale is your sale. And then you've got a shared floor where basically everything is kind of split amongst the sales consultants in that floor. I mean, there's probably different variations to that, but just a shared floor, meaning he kind of works more hand in hand with the partner, and the pay structure goes in that regard. So.
Why did you guys decide to do that?
There was quite a bit of, infighting and turmoil and that at a lot of the other sales centers that I had kind of heard through the grapevine going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, it seems like if we split every deal down the middle, it doesn't matter who writes it. All of your follow-up benefits me. All of my follow-up benefits you. So you go and hit those 3 realtor offices. I'm going to go hit these 3. And it's not like we're trying to compete against each other. Anybody who walks in the door is our sale, right? Not, oh, that's your sale. I'm busy. I'm sending an email. The heck with your people.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps us out. It makes us more money and it helps the customer experience. And I just find it to be it works for us. My partner's awesome. So
yeah, I love it. I tried to do a share floor one time, and then I did it with actually Dana.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because we both had our strengths and weaknesses. Like her strength is paperwork. I just wanted to sell the house. So I sold the house. She did all the paperwork. It worked out great. And plus she sold it. She was good. But that got cut. They wouldn't let us do it anymore.
Really?
So me and Brian were partners. We would have did it if we could, but we had a good relationship where I went on vacation once. He wrote 3 contracts for me.
Nice.
So it was like, we had an understanding. We were a good partner, but not all partners are like that. There's a lot of.
I was gonna say, yeah, you can get some really rough ones out there, and you get a bad partner. Whew, that makes life interesting.
Yeah, and that's no fun. And I mean, the cool thing about my partner and I is her personality type is almost the complete opposite of my personality type. So there's going to be certain buyers that she's just going to click with, right? And there's going to be certain buyers that are going to be completely put off by her, and vice versa. Yeah. So when someone comes in, if we feel that vibe, I'm talking to someone and it feels like, we're not really connected. I think Eileen would be a much better fit with this person and have a better shot of making a sale. I'm going to transition that family over to her. They're going to have a better experience. We have a better shot of selling that person. And it makes us both money, as opposed to them not liking me, saying the heck with this guy and going buy him from somebody else.
Interesting point. You feel like then in essence, it would make the company more money then, right?
Yeah.
I think that's interesting.
Yeah. If I see somebody with a dog and a stroller walking up, all right. Hey, Eileen, that's yours.
But that she's all about the dogs?
Yeah. She loves the animals. She loves animal people. And, love animals, but not a stroller.
Oh man. So let's talk about, I'm curious to know why in timeshare you get paid fast.
Yeah.
Right. You sell a timeshare after 10 days, you're going to get paid. So you get basically paid in 2 weeks. They get 10 days to cancel. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So after the 10 days, then you get your money.
Correct.
So timeshare, you get paid every 2 weeks.
If you're selling.
New home, if you're selling. Because if you're not selling, you don't have a job there anyways. So that's impressive. He lost 13 years in timeshare. Yeah. I have a buddy of mine that's been doing it since high school also. He still does it to this day. So he's been doing it 20 years almost.
Wow.
But new home sales, you don't get paid till the house closes. So it could take you 7 months. So how is that? Because you have to, being brand new, you have no backlog, and they have to build it up. So how's that going? Having to wait
Especially
7 months to
you
get paid.
went the summer without a job too, right? I mean, that kind of eats into that a little bit.
Oh man, it sure does. And it's not something I guess I factored in. You know, I figure, they're building all the time. They've got inventory homes. They've got spec homes. I mean, people walk in, you sell them a house. I mean, it's easy, right? And it wasn't that easy at first. My first handful of sales were all to be built. It's like, wait, so this is going to be done in 6 months? Mm-hmm. And, building delays and this and that. And now, a year later, I'm about to close my first sale. They're about to get moved in. Yeah. So it was different. It wasn't something I factored in. It's something they left out of the interview process for sure. But it's all right. We made it through, and now I'm at the point where, every month I'm getting that nice commission check. So it's paid off.
Good. Does your wife work?
She was working with the whole stuff going on right now. She's furloughed right now, but yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that helped out a little bit, kind of carrying on over the 12 months and stuff. So, just food for thought, because you get into the industry, especially if you're single and you got bills for 12 months and you ain't getting a paycheck for 12 months, if there's not a salary associated, some companies will do a recoverable draw, but everybody's different. So definitely something to look into, when you're deciding to join. So can you last that long? The last thing you want to get is commission breath, which I know they always talk about that. And that was timeshare, man. I remember, hey, don't get commission breath because, you'll be stinking up the place and they're going to run away.
Nobody likes to feed a hungry dog is what they used to say.
Are you still using any of those techniques?
Yeah. Every day, man.
Yeah.
Cause you still have to build rapport quickly. I would imagine I've bought homes, right? So you walk into that model center, you can tell within, 15 seconds whether or not you're going to have a good experience, right? Whether this person is standing behind sitting down. Oh, hey, welcome. Come on in. How can I help you? I want to look at some homes, and it's, okay, well, hold on a sec. And you're standing there. You're like, all right, this is not going to be fun. Right. As opposed to you walk in, they greet you with a smile. They know exactly what's going on. Hey, nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can tell when you're dealing with a professional. Mm-hmm. And that's something that they drill in timeshare is you have this much time to create rapport and get these people to pay attention to you. Because in that kind of sale, they come in not only not planning to buy, but they come in planning not to buy. So it's a lot of those techniques have helped me out a lot.
Yeah, I remember doing timeshare. They make you you have to go and get the people out of the lobby, and you go in there and just be as loud as possible. So that actually took over in the new homes. Sometimes I'll have people walking up to the door and I'll open the door and yell at them, like, "You better hurry up."
Yeah.
Because
you said you worked at Orange Lake, right?
I worked at Ryan did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked at Mystic Dunes.
Diamond, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That was a very interesting. Timeshare is not my cup of tea for sales. I can't sell like that.
What didn't you like about it?
Pressure, pressure sales. So I'm not a pressure person, So I'm more laid back, and I make the joke. I never actually close anybody. They just hand me checks. So.
Listen, I've watched people walk in and be like, here's a check. I'm here to buy a house. And Richie's like, well, it's nice to meet you. And I'm thinking, wait, what do you mean it's nice to meet you? I haven't met him yet. They're like, whatever you got, I'll take it. All right, cool.
Oh, okay, nice.
Here's my quick move-in. It's ready now. All right. You want to go see it? Nah, I'm good.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And is there any, I don't know. It's tougher when you're new because you really don't know what you're doing yet in new homes, like the actual process. Because at training, they don't teach you the process, And then when you got to your community, did you have a partner?
At first, yeah, we had somebody that was there. There was 3 people in my training class. So we had hopped out to Waterset. So it was going to be the single family homes and the townhomes. Mm-hmm. They had us all at the single family homes at first until the townhome community opened up. And then I transitioned over there. And then all 3 of us were selling both until we got a 4th person to be my partner.
But did you get to shadow anybody or learn from anybody?
Yeah, we shadowed somebody for roughly a month. But again, with that, it's up to the traffic, right? So if over that course of 30 days, 6 people walked in, you only got to see, bits and pieces of 6 interactions or 10 interactions or whatever. It's completely different.
So what do you do starting out? Like how do you get if you only have 6 people walking in, what are you doing to get your own traffic?
So that was another interesting transition is, in Timeshare, the marketing departments, they pump out, hey, you're going to talk to 3 people today. You're going to talk to 3 people tomorrow. You're going to talk to 3 people the next day. And, that's just how it is. So it was interesting. And that's, I think, what's taken the most time is learning what can you do for marketing and how can you drive your own traffic. And I think a lot of that has come down to the realtors, to, mass email blasts, putting out content that's interesting and will grab people's attention, and you just keep blasting them and blasting them and blasting them. And just like a store, right? There's stores that blast me with promotional emails that I've bought something from before, and they'll blast me for 6-7 months before I see one and go, oh, you know what? I do need another pair of shoes. Let me go ahead and order. So that's just kind of what I've been doing, is just blasting. And now a year later, I have a nice steady stream of traffic and sales.
Yeah, I think it's good. Starting out, a lot of people just sit in the model and they don't wait for everybody. I remember when I first started, I actually went on, I had access to MLS at the time, and I just went in and took every single realtor email off of MLS and put it in my MailChimp. And that's how I started, building business for myself early on. And then I still use it today. I still have the same list today, but it now just grows. Every time I see a new realtor walk in, I put them in 2 systems. I put them in the work one, and then I put them in my own. And then
I got an app on my phone that anytime somebody hands me a credit card or a business card, you take a picture of it and it auto uploads it into the system, and it's awesome.
Yeah,
it is pretty cool. What app is that?
I have to pull it up on my phone. It's purple.
Well, tell us later. We'll put it in the description below.
Yeah, because
that saves time, though. And
yeah,
new home counselors, I don't like to rely on marketing departments. Because I found in new homes, marketing departments are very short-term thinking, right? Everything is what is promotion this month, but nothing's ever in the future, And as a new home counselor, I was always I don't remember who told me, but they're like, just brand yourself. Don't ever put anything for the builder, because if you end up leaving, all your branding is going to be with that builder. So like when I was with Beazer for 5 years, I used to do a lot of things, but it was always me. It was like Richie New Homes is what I made. And then I ended up leaving Beazer. I still had all the stuff because nothing was branded with Beazer. Plus, you can't get in trouble that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on now with all this quarantine stuff. It really gives you some time to reflect and look at some of these webinars that people are putting out and watching some of these YouTube videos, seeing what everybody else is doing. So I think the personal brand, I think you're right. I think that's huge in this. Whereas with timeshare, you don't want them to know who you are, right?
Yeah. And that makes you a commodity too, because things change, right? It's a small industry. If you do go to a different builder, when you're sitting there and you think about that interview process, it gives you something to bring to the table. I've got a long list that realtors trust me, and they bring me business no matter where I am, because they know I'm going to take care of them. So if you can do that, I think that's huge. So definitely.
You find it difficult right now being new? You have backlog now. People worried about what's going on. Are you finding it difficult, or what are you telling people right now to calm them down?
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest strengths I have that I pulled from timeshare is that, think about it, right? What do people hear about timeshare? And they get home and they tell their friends, oh my God, I had this amazing vacation. I just bought a timeshare. They're like, you did what? And then I bought a timeshare. Look at this review. Look at that review. So you're constantly trying to save deals. Every deal you write, if they don't call you within that 10 days, you get nervous. Did they already write the letter? Because, so trying to save deals and all that kind of stuff is something that I'm very well versed at. So it's just holding their hand, making them feel good, then they'll calm down. Then they'll get worried again in a week or two. You make them feel good. Okay. And you just have to keep doing that until closing day, which is a lot longer than 10 days. But
a lot can go wrong in 6 months.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. Especially right now.
Yeah.
Jobs, credit scores, there's, just the requirements on these loans are changing right now, and they're getting more strict. So you got the ones that were on the line, little border, what's going to be in 5 months, 6 months from now. So
Yeah, a lot of those specialized loan programs that we got people in, they're disappearing now and trying to scramble to find stuff to close.
Yep.
Have you found it? Yes, you and your partner Eileen. Have you guys found any tactics that work together?
Yeah, we'll tag team people, and realtor, we don't hear from them for a week or two, and it's like, well, that's weird. You don't hear from the buyer, so she'll tag me on an email and send it to the realtor. Hey, is this buyer still interested? An hour and a half later, you respond and say, hey, I need some information on this ASAP because I got 2 people that are ready to put a deposit down, and magically the realtor responds within 5 minutes. Oh, no, we're still good. You'll have an offer in 10 minutes. So, and again, because we're partners, it makes me money to help her close deals. We had one guy that we couldn't get in. It was looking into mid-November. Couldn't get a hold of him. Couldn't get a hold of the realtor. And, the realtor was one of those bro kind of guys. So I just started reaching out to him, hitting him up on his Facebook, hitting him up on his Insta, and, become bros. And then all of a sudden now he's super accessible and closes that deal. It stays in her name, but we split it, right? So it is another one of the benefits of having a shared core.
Yeah. We used to use each other all the time. Like Brian could have somebody in his office and be like, Brian, don't sell whatever lot because I got somebody for it, and he's got Brian's like, you better hurry up, Be like, Brian's good, man. He's gonna sell the house.
Yeah, exactly. No, not yet. Okay, well, we're buying it.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of competition in your area?
I mean, competition is a loaded word, right? We sell the townhomes. There's 2 or 3 townhome communities within 15, 20 minutes, but I wouldn't call them competition. They're your basic drive-in, 7 or 8 buildings, 1 small pool, 1 little tot lot, nothing really going on. Whereas we're in Waterset, right? It's got a ton of amenity centers. It's a gorgeous community. So if they're looking at townhomes, we're crushing everybody around us. Okay. The downside to us is our price point. We compete with a lot of the decent single-family home neighborhoods in the area. So if I had to say competition, it's more of the single-family homes, the low price. They're actually cheaper than us.
So how are you overcoming that? Because if I'm a single-family home selling it to a townhome, I'm gonna crush the townhome all day long.
Yeah. It just depends on kind of what they're looking at, right? And I feel like if you have a good vibe with them, what they're looking for. Is it an entry level? Are they looking at moving up in a couple of years? Maybe they keep this as a rental and now they can actually start to build some wealth. Whereas with that single family home, maybe they have to sell that before they buy the next one. It depends on, do they want to lock and leave? Do they want to do lawn maintenance? Do they want to pay a lawn service company to do it? I mean, for me, I've got 3 kids. There's no way I'd be living in a townhome. Right. So for some people, it's not going to work. People with bad knees, they come see us and they're like, well, we think maybe we could go. The attached villas are across the street, right? Those are going to be a better situation for you than going up and down these stairs and hating your life.
Some people like that high density feeling,
Sure.
They like to feel, collectively living. It's a safety thing, right? Because you got people close by,
Yeah, it's definitely a lifestyle thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
As
far as training. Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm selling it all day long, but, so kind of talking about training, because you're touching a couple points there, in not having near as much training in the new home construction, do you think there needs to be more? I mean, typically hiring, that's one of the reasons they like experience, right? Because they don't necessarily focus. Now, every builder is different, of course, but, what do you think needs to be added or not?
I think, and, this may ruffle some feathers, but I think that it's extremely short-sighted and just ridiculous that a sales industry, a sales organization, you don't make any money if you don't sell homes, right? Why you wouldn't have dedicated sales trainers, a training department where that's their only job is beyond me. I have a lot of sales experience, no new home sales experience. So it took me at least 90 days to get up and running. I'd sold 2 homes in that time, but that's still not ideal. 2 homes sales in 90 days. So what did they pay me for that 90 days? What did it cost them if they would have actually, for the first 30 days even, just completely drilled training, continuous training once a quarter, whatever, right? I think that the cost benefit between those 2 things, it just shocks me that they don't do sales training, put together a nice process. This is what a follow-up process should look like. Here's some scripts. Here's some objections that you can overcome, that kind of stuff.
So you feel that more or less the fault, like kind of what to do for following up, maybe, I mean, we don't do scripts. I don't know about you guys, but we didn't do scripts at Beazer either, but so you feel that maybe
salespeople hate scripts.
That's true. Timeshare, man. I read from a script. I mean, it was a script. You memorized the script top to bottom. You read it, and if you get shadowed and you ain't following that script, hey, we're going to talk. Yeah. So, so you just feel that maybe there's more, because you know how to sell, right? You got 13, years worth of experience. You obviously know how to sell. So it's more, what to do in your position that's not necessarily there, other than, hey, this is how you fill out a contract. This is how you work the system.
Right. Yeah. I think with a lot of the outreach stuff, so how to drive your own traffic, wouldn't that help a company, alleviate some of that pressure on the marketing company if every salesperson could generate themselves one extra sale a month? If, your follow-up process saved one sale a quarter, if, just these little things. And if you think about it, so those scripts in timeshare, right? Those massive training departments, the ride-alongs, to make sure you're on top of your game every day, they spend, somewhere between $700 and $1,000 for every person they put in front of you. They need you to sell. They can't let you wait for 90 days to figure it out. So they pump tons of money into their training departments, and it shows. I mean, look at Siegel. I mean,
I think new homes, they need to do. I'm not big into training on how to sell, because I think everybody has their own way of doing it, especially new homes. New homes is a lot less selling than I think we like to tell people. It's not that hard to sell a house. You either I'm not going to talk you into buying a house you don't like, right? Yeah, if you like it, I'm going to help you buy it. If you like my house, you like, Taylor Morrison across the street, now I'm going to sell a little bit on the difference, make you see it my way. But I think there is a lack of, one thing they never train on, which I think is huge, is construction. New home counselors don't know a whole lot about construction. And they're, depending on where you're at, if you get like engineers and stuff like that, people like that, they want to know what's behind the walls. And then training on how to generate your own traffic and leads. And none of it's how to use technology, because, a lot of people are older in this business and they're scared of technology.
Yeah.
So
especially right now, everything is transitioning to more technology, I mean, where I'm at right now, the training's actually, we got a pretty good training. They teach construction. Like we go through a whole couple of days worth of that. And then there's a sales process, or, teaching, trust selling for David Weekley. So, I mean, we do have some training, but, I think adding something like follow-up, like, hey, what are the keys to success, right? And just let's talk about, what that aspect is. And, hey, like, yes, this is your job is to sell a home, write a contract. That's great. But if you don't do these 5 things, that ain't going to happen. Right. And you're not going to be successful. So, definitely. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. I don't need to Jeff Shore 4-2 formula. That's what they all tie the hitch to, and that's their training.
But I mean, even if you look at timeshare, depending on which resort you work at, everybody's got different scripts, different ways of doing it.
Yeah.
You just got to find one that really, really works for you and just crush it with it. I mean, but you can't do that unless you have those resources, right? So I'm a weirdo in sales. I love sales training. I love role playing. Role playing is so fun, right? It's the best training you can get. It's uncomfortable. It sucks. It's super stressful. But if you can get good with role playing, you're going to be on fire in front of customers, right? And so I love role playing. I love books. I love watching training videos. I love going to training seminars. And a lot of salespeople don't do that, right? They use their practice when they're in front of people. They're practicing on actual customers. That's where you should be playing, not practicing.
Well, what books and training seminars are you reading currently or planning on going to?
So we just did one. The Roland Nairsley one was good. That was my first new home sales seminar that I went to, and picked up stuff like it's not downsizing, it's right sizing, right? Like that cute stuff like that is, it's what's lacking in the training department, right? But I'm constantly reading. My first one was How to Succeed Through Failing. It was literally written for timeshare. Sherry Levinton, she's the queen of timeshare sales. She's got a great YouTube channel, tons of resources on there. There's a bunch of good ones out there.
That's cool. I'm big on the reading and all that stuff. So just trying to always constantly keep the brain, growing and learning more. So I like that. So Nick, do you guys use disc profile still? I mean, that for me, that was real big in timeshare. Did you guys use that in timeshare?
Yeah. So we used a couple of different of the tests. Some people, they do the disc. Some resorts would do the driver, analytical, amiable, and expressive. Depending on where you were at. I know Hilton was big on amiable, expressive, that kind of stuff. And I think it's super important, and kind of to take back to what we were talking about with the training in this industry is you have to know, who you're talking to and speak to them in their language. So if you have a driver, he wants it short and sweet. You gotta keep it short and sweet. You start trying to create a relationship with them, and he's going to be like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go buy from somebody else. I ain't got time for this. And same thing with expressives and amiables. You railroad them, and they'll sit there and they'll be nice, but they're never going to buy something from you.
No, I agree.
And they teach you certain words will ring true with certain people, right? Like analyticals, they like to be right and respected. So you got to tell them, oh man, that was such a great question. You're super smart. So obviously you understand that X, Y, Z, right? And he's going to be like, yeah, of course I understand that. And then back of his head is going, what the hell is that? You can't look dumb, right? So you got to know who you're talking to, and that training was invaluable.
I'm a big advocate for the disc profile, and and that's and I learned that big with timeshare. So bringing it over, and if you're a driving personality and you got somebody who comes in who is that amiable, like they're easily or more easily over stressed, right? So if you come in and you're boom, 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 you're literally just chasing them out the front door. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for the disc profile. I'm kind of understanding who you're talking to, and you got to know so you can match, to their personality. Otherwise you're not going to connect on their level, and that you're not going to build that relationship like that we talked about. So yeah, I love the disc.
How do you close somebody using that?
Just using their language, right? So if if somebody's super amiable, right? So there's what's called dominant buying motives, DBMs. Usually there's 6 or 7 of them, depending on which school of thought you look at. So if somebody is driven by pride and prestige, the Instagram model, that you're gonna base. Oh, could you imagine posting on Instagram from this backyard? Could you imagine this kitchen? I mean, you're gonna make all your friends jealous. Imagine your followers, that kind of stuff. So just kind of knowing what personality type they are, match that with what their dominant buying motive is. Some amiables are gonna really love and affection, right? So you tell them, can you imagine the Thanksgiving dinners you're gonna be able to have? Your entire family is gonna be gathered in one place at your home. You get to be the host, right? So that's going to be a dominant buying motive that's big for people who like love and affection. At my house, I'm used to having the family over all the time. So someone's pitching me a home. Hey, you're going to be able to have every Thanksgiving at this house. I'm going to be like, well, this house is too big. Where do I want something smaller? Right? So you have to know what their dominant buying motive is and use that. So
how do you, I find a lot of salespeople they like to talk a lot. So how do you find out, their motive without talking too much?
So, and the one thing that I always hammered home when I was training salespeople was your discovery is where you should spend most of your time. If you do a really good discovery, you don't have to do much closing. You're going to hit them with a couple of sentences. Hey, you said this, this has that, boom, 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 boom. And you're going to be able to do it. If you don't do a good discovery, you're going to have to do a whole lot of selling, right? So when you said earlier, you don't have to close a lot of people. I bet you do a really good discovery. You ask a bunch of questions. You let them do most of the talking. That's what I try to do. I just try to ask a bunch of questions. And if you get someone talking enough, they'll accidentally throw out that information they meant to keep tight, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, we were looking at this place and, we just really don't like it because of that. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for telling me.
Where are you doing your discovery at?
So I'm different, right? It depends on the kind of person I have will usually drive where I do it. If they are, again, drivers, right? If they're just boom, 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 let's get through this process. I'll do my discovery as we're walking, as we're doing the models, as I'm answering their questions. I'm going to ask them a question. I'm going to make them pay for every one of my answers with an answer of their own. Mm-hmm. The people who are a little more amiable, a little bit slower, you'll talk a little bit you'll change the pace of your speech and your inflection, and I'll do my discovery right there at the desk, right? And get them up, walk them around, sit them back down. Get them up, walk them around, sit them back down. So they get used to sitting at that desk. So when it comes time to sign that contract, they're not trying to hop up. They've already sat at that desk 2 or 3 times.
Yeah. It's funny. I actually I had a complaint one time. I had a realtor with some buyers came look at it. It was an inventory home, completed. And I took them in. I don't say a whole lot. The house is complete. The house is finished, right? And I could tell the wife, she was very like dominant. Like it was her way. And I walk in, I probably said about 6 words. I answered a couple of questions. The realtor knew our VP of sales at the time was Becky Boucher. And she calls me and the guy complained. He said, Richie didn't try to sell us anything. He didn't say anything.
Did they buy it?
Yeah. Yep. So it's not, I don't think it's not what you say, but you got to know when and how to say things.
Oh, for sure.
And
we used to call it going past the close.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You can talk yourself. You can talk yourself out of a sale.
Oh, easy.
Sure can.
We talk about this with realtors. So how are you dealing with realtors right now? Because you're kind of new dealing with realtors. So
yeah,
you got them bringing people into you.
Mm-hmm.
How are you finding them? How's it working with the realtor?
So again, like I said earlier, that I've learned that they are the customer most times.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to read them just like I would a buyer. Are they here to do all of the work? Do they want to show everything? Do they want to ask all the questions? Or are they the kind of person where, here's my people, I'm just going to stand back here because I do this, 1 weekend a month and I don't really know what's going on. So you got to kind of figure out what the realtor is. Do they do this all the time? Are they going to run this show, or are they expecting me to, and kind of play off of them?
So have you seen any realtors kill your deals?
Yeah, there's some deals that the realtor will muddy up, and it's like, bro, you're getting paid commission on this deal. What are you doing? Like, this is the perfect home for them. Why are you going to go show them 6 more? They said that they're ready to do this one. And you're like, well, no. We got 2 more we're going to go see today. We don't have to sign anything yet. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Those are the ones who are getting 150 homes in a 6-month time frame. They're like, I can't get them to make a decision on one home. And it's like, well, they love that 3rd one you showed them, and
let them buy that one.
Yeah. They walked away, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, hey, they do want to. It's sold. I mean,
Yeah.
Hopefully we can help some realtors not oversell. Just be quiet and let us work.
Yeah, and I got one working right now where, some of the information, some of the selling I do with the prospect, and some of the information I'll leave and discuss with the realtor, right? So they're deciding right now between us and another home in the area, single family home. It's furnished. It was a model, so it's got a ton of upgrades in it. So rather than explain to them what issues they could find when they come time to close and get the appraisal, and hey, it came in 60,000 short, you're going to have to come up with that cash. Mm-hmm. Rather than it coming from me, where it sounds like I'm trying to get them to buy mine, I explain that to the realtor. Hey, maybe you want to talk to these people about it. So when it comes from the realtor, then it's, oh yeah, no, you're right. Maybe we should go ahead and, where if it came from me, it would sound like I was just trying to get them to buy mine. So
like a sales pitch.
Right.
Yeah.
Helps that realtor kind of build that rapport and the confidence too. And it's more of a team collective process, helps them earn their paycheck.
Right.
Especially for the ones that want to earn the paycheck, and they can end up talking too far, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Obviously, you always got to make the realtor look good, no matter what, because you don't want the work can spread quickly in their community about hey, I just saw Nick over in this community. Don't go see Nick.
Yeah.
And that's something that I can't remember who shared that with me, but I know that was something that somebody told me when I first started was, hey, listen, when a realtor comes in, act like you've seen them 1,000 times. Mm-hmm. Say, oh my gosh, you guys are working with Richie. He's awesome. He's going to do a great job. What can I help you with? Right. Even if that's the first time you've ever seen that realtor, if you talk them up, it's going to make them feel good. They're going to love you.
And them back.
I mean, it helps.
They're coming back with somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love making the realtor look good with incentives. Because I always hold some back. So I don't know how you do it. But here's a little trick. I always hold some back because you never know what's going to happen during the process. Sometimes you might need it, right? Mm-hmm. So especially if I like the people. Some people you sell to you really like, you really want to help. Some people are like,
whatever. Now I got to deal with this guy for the next 7 months. Do I really want to buy a house?
Yeah. Not all business is good business, but you know, if the people that I really like and I like the realtor, you know, if I didn't give away all my incentive, I'm like, listen, you know, your realtor right here, he beat me up and he got you an extra, you know, $1,500 towards closing. So you might want to thank him, you know.
That's a good point. Let me ask
they always
you
love that.
So with this, they advertise all of our incentives, right? At least most of them. Most of the incentives are advertised. And the price is the price. Everybody knows what it is coming in. In the world I came from, they don't know what the price is. You don't talk about the price till the very end. You start super high and you let them beat you up to a certain point, knowing you can go down to wherever, right? Whereas in homes, the price is pretty much the price. You've got a little bit of wiggle room. The incentives are pretty much the incentives, and they're advertised. So how do you guys kind of do that? How do you deal with keeping some of the incentives back and playing that game?
That's the big challenge is when they get published and they're out there, because it's harder to hold them back. So, you know, have the conversation with either the marketing team, management, or you know, whoever's controlling that for you guys, and letting them know, hey, like we love incentives. We got to have incentives. You know, it's the industry, right? So, but let's lower what we're publishing and let me have some in the back pocket, right? So that way I can use it however we need to use it. And, you know, then you can use it like Richie and, yeah, hey, realtor beat me up and here you go. So I would just have the conversation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Like what's yours right now?
Right now, well, they upped them a little bit now, but our incentives all year have been $7,500 in closing costs, and then all of your appliances, right? So $7,500 in closing costs and your appliances comes out to roughly $11,000. So they just upped it right now. So they gave us a couple thousand more worth of incentives and then a couple $1,000 realtor bonus. But yeah.
Good. Yeah, those realtor bonuses are nice too. Just kind of helping to come in, you know.
So like what I would do, because I don't know if they're going to be publishing that 2020 thing.
Right.
It's hard because I always tell, like if it's homes in the MLS, I'll tell, you know, like Bianca, don't advertise something. If it's a realtor bonus, don't put it in there. Whatever it is, don't ever advertise our closing cost. So like if it was me, if I had that, I would. Your incentive before was $7,500 for closing, and anything for options?
The appliance package, so $3,700 worth of appliances.
37. So I would actually keep it the same and not change, because you're in townhome anyways. You can't do anything, right?
Yeah, there's really no real options. It's an extra set of can lights, or it's tile in the gathering room instead of carpet. I think our average options are $1,500. I mean, nothing.
Yeah, so I would just throw that in there. The only thing I would hold back is your closing costs.
Yeah. And
then you end up paying you can pay all the closing costs with this promo. So I would just leave it the same, like nothing changed. And then, you know, once people come in, be like, if they have a realtor, like realtor talk, you know, said you guys need all the closing costs. He submitted an offer, got approved, you're good. So like because if I had that promo, I would keep. Me and Denise would have a conversation. We'd keep our incentives the same publicly, whereas ours is $7,500 and then half off on the first $15,000. We keep it there, or we'd be like, you know, instead of half off on 75, now you just get 7,500. You know, so you don't have to spend it to get it. But I still have, that's only 15,000. I still got another $5,000 to play with. So.
Yeah,
You just want to give everything away, because some people walk in. That's the first question. What's your incentive?
Yeah.
You don't even know if you like the house.
Yeah.
What does it matter? So, you know,
you get the ones that, I mean, they're looking for a deal, you know, and that literally that's all they feel it's all they care about, you know, and those are tough ones, you know. It's sometimes you'll get the ones that they care more about the deal and getting the home that they really care for, but they'll be in the market in another year. So
but if you do that stuff, you have to make sure you and your partner are on the same page. You can't be your partner can't have somebody in her office telling the incentive, and then you in your office with somebody, and you're just telling people the opposite things.
Oh yeah. Especially if you don't have doors in your office.
Yeah. You'll be on the same page. So, but all right. You want anything else, John?
I don't know. You got anything else?
Richie Rich? No.
I'm glad we got that disc profile in there. I think it's a good topic.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's something I mean, with the training, it totally makes sense.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so I wanted to do something for like closing, because like I don't close.
Right.
But you do closes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a go-to?
Now, I mean, it just depends kind of on where they're at in the process. There was a bunch in timeshare that were just go-tos. I mean, there was every single time you do it that I'll use now every once in a while. Like there's one, we used to call it the Ben Franklin, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all the reasons why you should do it on one side of the piece of paper, all the reasons why you shouldn't, right? So you talk them through all the reasons they do like the home. Yeah, I like this. I like that. I like this. I like that. You feed them some. Yes, yes, yes. You try to get as many things that they like about it on one side of the paper. You write down a piece of paper, or you write a line right down the middle. All right, what are all the things that you don't like about it? And you just sit back, right? And usually they'll only be able to come up with 2 or 3. And you flip it around and go, I mean, the choice is pretty obvious, isn't it?
Yep.
What do you say to somebody who walks in and be like, yeah, I just saw this house, at this other builder, and I really like it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to see what you guys have.
Perfect. And what'd you like about it? What kept you from signing that piece of paper while you were there? I mean, there must have been something it didn't have, or you wouldn't be talking to me seeing what I have, right? So usually they'll go, well, okay, yeah, it backed up to a trailer park. I didn't really like the view. But other than that, okay, cool. Well, it's something I can work with. But yeah, that was always my thing, right? If someone, oh, these people are offering this, or I saw this and it was, okay, so just curious. Why are you here? Why didn't you buy that one? And they'll go, well, yeah, I wanted to see what you have. Well, I mean, if it was perfect, you were hoping to find something more perfect, or, and again, that just lends itself to a good discovery. Instead of answering questions, I try to ask them before I start answering. For example, like qualifying questions. So I was doing a lot preview, right? Doing a lot lock, and it was right across from the amenity center, right? So right there's this huge field, huge park, pools, 7 basketball courts, gigantic amenity center, and this house is right across from it. So we're standing out front, and the wife says, hey, is this usually really busy? Are there a lot of kids out here all the time? And is it really loud and like packed? So rather than give her an answer, right, I asked, well, what do you mean? And she's like, well, we really like to see the families out playing. We love it when people are out there with their dogs. Of course it's packed. There's people out here every day. I mean, it's nuts. It's insane how many people are out here. Where if I would have been like, no. I mean, it's not that busy. It's quiet. Then I might have screwed that up, because I answered the question thinking I heard what she asked, but I needed to know exactly what she was asking and why.
It's good. Not assuming the wanted response and mirroring, her question.
Mm-hmm.
Good tactic.
I always try to qualify, try to find out why they're asking what they ask before I answer.
Well, Nick, it looks like we're out of time on my computer. They're about to kick us off. I want to appreciate you coming on with us and telling us about your experience so far. Brian, as always, looking sexy.
Man, I'm trying to.
Go on that YouTube channel. Give Brian that like.
It makes me feel better about myself. So yeah, give me the like.
Looks like you're playing golf in this house today.
Hey, so I got dressed.
It's not even Sunday.
I am thinking about, listen, if I can get some of my errands run today, maybe trying to find my way out there because it's a nice looking day.
All right, guys. So check us out on YouTube, streaming all podcast platforms.
Yeah.
You need anything?
Hey, questions below. We want to hear what you guys are thinking about the podcast. We want to know what questions and topics you want to hear from or hear about. So, definitely leave comments, share it with friends, and help us grow the channel.
Nick, thanks again.
And my pleasure. Nick. Thanks for having me on.